welcome to the Government Transformation Show, the podcast for public sector changemakers. I'm your host, Sam Birchall, senior journalist here at Government Transformation magazine. And this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Doug and Trish from PwC to talk about operationalising AI. So we delve into what the state of progress really is when it comes to AI in the public sector. And we also take a look at some actionable steps that can be taken to better embrace and experiment with this technology. Another great conversation, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, Doug and Trish. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you both doing today?
Great, thanks.
Really good, thank you.
Excellent. No, glad that you could come on the show today. So we're here today to talk about operationalizing AI. Big topic. Obviously, PwC is a huge player in the space, so very much looking forward to hearing how you are observing trends in the public sector relating to this and how you think government can better tap into the potential AI has to offer. But first, as ever, would love to start with some introductions. So Trish, I'll come to you first. If you could give a bit of an intro, talk to me about your role and how you work with the public sector at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sam. So hello, everyone. So I'm Trish. I work in our PwC Risk AI team. So I work with our clients across different sectors, both private and public sector, on data and AI. So that varies from really kickstarting the journey around AI through to scaling that enterprise-wide in a responsible manner.
Great. And Doug?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm Doug, a director in our tech, data, and now AI team. So we help clients do everything from analytics, building up from their strategy, their systems, how they do the governance and things to execute and make that work. I previously worked in the civil service, so really understand some of the challenges that you'll all be going through and what we might need to do to kind of get the data and the systems ready to really make the most of the AI.
Great. And before we delve into all of that juicy stuff, Doug, can you tell us a bit about kind of what PwC is doing in AI at the moment?
Yeah, thanks. So at a global level, you'll have seen in the press, we've made some large announced investments, so around $1 billion, helping clients in all industries and different regions to really power AI in a safe and ethical way. We've got a lot of partnerships with the hyperscalers, so Microsoft, GCP, AWS, etc. And you might have also seen our sort of partnership with Harvey, which is really useful for kind of assessing legal contracts and extending into other use cases as we sort of go forward. We're really supportive of helping the government to make a kind of safe, robust and sustainable approach to how they use AI. And we've got a couple of stats that we wanted to kind of share. So last summer, we did a sort of pulse survey that showed 2/3 of business leaders were going to be really kind of making a difference. And from our recent January CEO survey, we've already seen that over 40% have already started their journey towards using AI in their business. Trish, you want to go through some of the kind of internal stuff we're working on?
Yeah, sure. So I think two things. So the internally focused projects that we are currently working on, but also kind of externally facing with clients. So, as Doug mentioned, we are, investing heavily within this space. We are upskilling our workforce and, really transforming the way that we work. How can we do things much more efficiently with generative AI, for instance? We run tailored learning programs for our staff, but also, I guess, on top of this, would be three things that we are doing internally. One would be piloting third-party Gen AI tools internally to really understand the capabilities of the tech. They're very quickly evolving. As you've seen with ChatGPT, for instance, I guess that, for me, I think the best way to learn is by doing. So, understanding the capability, but also the limitations of the technology. I guess secondly is, you may have heard, but we've developed our own internal tool called Chat PwC, which really builds on OpenAI's GPT and operates within our walls of trust. We're always, quite keen for our people to get stuck into the technology and come up with their own ideas about how AI can reimagine the way that we currently do things. So we are very much encouraged to submit our ideas and then develop kind of proof of concepts. And then I guess building on what Doug mentioned earlier, I guess working with our clients. So I guess it's working with them to unlock the value of Gen AI, and there are kind of a few ingredients underpinning that. I guess one would be from a kind of strategic transformation perspective, identifying the right use cases that will kind of provide the most value to their organization, but also, more importantly, would be the trust element to it. So the way that the value can be, kind of fully realized and sustained is really through responsible adoption. So we're working with, our clients to navigate the complexities around risks and the regulatory landscape. And then three more things. So there's data as well. It's it's quite key in AI. So establishing the right data foundations to scale it, making sure that they're organized, that they're secure, they're in the right quality. I guess from a tech perspective, how do we then avoid kind of tech debt and utilize the right Gen AI architecture for the right purpose? And lastly, I think the most important thing would be the people and culture aspect. So to be able to drive adoption and engagement with Gen AI internally, it is a massive cultural shift. It really does require buy-in from people internally. So yeah, just to kind of round it off, we are really investing a lot in helping our clients, kind of deliver efficiency and productivity gains. And it's, I guess, quite important for us to have or apply a human-led and tech-powered approach. And from a government and public sector perspective, it's important that we build trust and drive sustained outcomes to make sure that we, improve public experience or citizen experience.
So lots going on at PwC at the moment, but great to hear some of those kind of really interesting, innovative ways that you guys are kind of beefing up your capabilities when it comes to AI to really meet the rising demand from public sector at the moment. So really great stuff, and keen to kind of dig more into this. But first, so PwC, you held a discussion table on operationalizing AI at the most recent Government Transformation Summit. I mean, obviously, everyone is at different stages of implementing and approaching AI at the moment. But what trends and observations did you see around the state of progress in government on this, and where are departments on this journey? What's standing in the way?
Yeah, brilliant. So I'll pick this one up. Thanks, Sam. I think firstly, thanks for hosting the event. We had a really, really great day. We met so many people across the civil service, from the data and transformation, as well as some of the great international guests that came along. I think there were four kind of big themes, and this kind of echoes in some of the other hackathon we recently ran and some of the other engagements that we're doing, that we're kind of seeing these coming up quite regularly. So the first one is progress. So some departments are at a much more mature stage than others. They've really kind of advanced and started to get the ideas around what their kind of first proof of concept is. Others are still a long way to go, haven't really started on that journey or are worried. We had some really great ideas from some of the scanning of the peatlands and how they were kind of using that to work out, and other departments like ONS launching their Stat GPT. The second big area we want to move on to is policy, right? So policy is really important. We practice responsible AI. And also you've got to think about some of the other bits like equality of availability. Is there any bias in the decision making, and who owns the data that you're going to train this on? Policies are always going to continually develop, but it's how do you kind of make sure that you have a policy that lets people start experimenting and getting some of those use cases, as opposed to kind of preventing us from being able to start. The third big area is skills. There's an international race for skills. Digital nomads can now live anywhere they like in the world. From our recent CEO survey, another stat for you, 68% of CEOs said they're lacking the tech skills they need to be successful. This is a real risk in the civil service, which often finds it harder to attract the kind of top talent. So the next leaders, any of you watching, you need to think about how you might upend your hierarchies, get skills from different places, and make sure that some of the kind of relevant people are in your boardrooms with the understanding of what this technology can do. And that links really nicely onto the kind of fourth one, which is not being afraid to disrupt the status quo. I think we've got kind of ingrained bias to be safe, to not change things, to do what we are used to and are experts in. And I think there's also a combination with kind of flawed incentives. If we don't look at kind of redesigning the entire sort of processes, we're not going to be able to make the best use of this new technology and the new processes to really kind of align with the goals and the ways of working that AI could enable. There's some great government guidance that's really come out, and we've also got a really handy operationalising AI checklist. So if anyone wants to kind of have a copy of that, feel free to reach out.
Great. Thanks, Doug. And I love what you were saying about kind of disrupting the status quo. I think that's definitely kind of a theme that's becoming more prominent over time as kind of governments having to keep up with a lot of this new technology. But obviously that does kind of lead us on to one of the key challenges that governments are facing, which is kind of how can they embrace and experiment with AI whilst also balancing the need to deliver it responsibly and ethically. What are you hearing from your clients more broadly on this?
Yeah, so I think we heard about this loads at the summit. Kind of, I want to do it, but I'm maybe worried about it. I think if we look more broadly at the clients we were speaking to, people are like, what is AI? How concerned should I be? And I think as we reflected with the numbers earlier, it's now into right. I'm starting to understand what it can do. I'm getting into the real outcomes that this can deliver. 3/4 of CEOs are saying they are going to be investing in AI this year. I think it could be even bigger than that. And I think the same should be reflected in government and the public sector. So super exciting place to be. Government not only leading the policy on the development around it, but also kind of really shaping how they can use it themselves. So fundamentally, the first thing that we tell all of our clients is you've really got to understand the route to value. You can waste a lot of money having a play around with some of these tools if you haven't really figured out what the outcomes and benefits that you're looking to deliver and how are you going to get there. So it's about making sure you've got the kind of strategy, really prioritize use cases, and how do you get the proof of concepts to really measure the success on the investment that you've made. It isn't too difficult that we would say the same sort of thing. We'd say the same for every single piece of tech, right? You're buying a new cloud solution. You've got to really think about what the value and what you're going to change in the business. And I think AI adds some additional risks that you need to consider. So that's where we kind of go on to this AI safety and responsibility. So how do we make sure that we've got the guardrails in place to mitigate the risk? There are some regulatory frameworks starting to emerge, and there is additional guidance and sort of localized policies that you can put in on top of that. But they need to enable that innovation. Back to the point earlier, if you completely regulate something, it loses its ability to innovate and kind of really kind of expand out into new areas you might not have expected. The final one, and I think this is where we see the biggest challenge, is in order to use AI effectively, you've got to have your data in place, in order, sorted. You've got to understand your metadata. You've got to know where it is. Otherwise, you're not really going to be able to access the potential of especially the generative AI models. So making sure that there's scalable and secure infrastructure, that you understand what data is there and how it's secured so that you can do that. But I think we probably need to tackle some of those use cases to really get a flavour of how it works then.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for that, Doug. But yeah, I guess that leads me on to the next question, which is obviously, as you mentioned, AI is continuing to develop at such a rapid pace. How can departments ensure that they continue to identify relevant use cases to them?
Yeah, so I'll take that question. So I think that's a really good question. I think, kind of many of us would have already had a play around with, kind of ChatGPT, whether that's Google Bard or Microsoft Bing, and departments will also be experimenting with much more specialized kind of toolkits. I guess, but the question is, what are those use cases that will deliver real and sustainable outcomes? So I guess what we did back in autumn was we hosted a 2-day Gen AI hackathon. So that's together with Microsoft and the Cabinet Office. So over 125 technologies from across the civil service came together to define and hack specific use cases to really better understand the applicability of these powerful technologies. The results were nothing short of amazing. So the hackathon that was showcased, it showcased the incredible potential of AI to transform, the public sector, from streamlining processes, improving commercial best practices, to delivering a better experience to citizens. Is great, such a great event, and really helped highlight the things that departments would need to do to line up the right use cases with the technology. I think, going back to your question, I think it's important to remember that although Gen AI is a really powerful tool, it's no silver bullet. So the best advice that we can give clients is to really start with a problem statement and then follow on with the technology. So some use cases can easily be addressed by simpler solutions, such as robotics process automation, for instance. So it's really important that time, effort, and investments are targeted in the right areas where AI and Gen AI can really make a difference to the outcome. I guess secondly, I kind of just want to highlight the collaboration and the innovation during the hackathon was amazing. So how do we then take that energy and replicate it in the working environment? And the key to this is really empowering people to generate ideas, but also provide them with the space and the platform to experiment and showcase the opportunity that these technology can bring. I think leadership plays a really important role here. I think we don't need transformation leaders who are tech experts, but we do need transformation leaders who are tech curious and also who are champions of the tech. I guess kind of building on what Doug mentioned earlier, it's around prioritization, and that's really key. So I think we're all dazzled, especially by me. We're all dazzled by new technology, especially me, and we can't really wait to get it out of the box, to play around with it. We've all seen that there is a growing list of use cases, but departments won't be able to hit them all at once. So they'll really need to focus their efforts on, benefits, ROI, alignment against the department's strategic priorities, benefits to citizens, for instance, taking all of these whilst balancing it with risk is quite important.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned about the kind of not necessarily chasing those kind of shiny new tech objects, which is really easy to do, but actually kind of thinking about the business case and working kind of from the root up. Some really good points there. Thanks, Trish. And lastly, another challenge I wanted to touch on was the fact that the kind of AI requires this huge upskilling of the workforce to be able to interact with new systems in a way that's really beneficial to organizations. We'd love to get your thoughts on how departments can really address the skills gap for AI operations.
Yeah, sure. So I guess there's no denying it that AI changes the shape of the workforce. So it optimizes employees' time to really focus on higher value work, but also the need to have someone validate the accuracy of the AIs is really important. So having that human in the loop is key. So, Gen AI is pervasive. It's easily accessible by anyone. It can support you in learning how to code, for instance. Beyond that, to be able to operationalize the tech, new skill sets would be required. That would really vary from writing effective prompts for targeted outputs, but also through to new tech and data considerations, such as managing prompt libraries or learning about the different architectures for generative AI. I think there's no quick and easy solution to manage the AI skills gap, but I think a good starting point would include, training employees in data and AI skills, really carving out the time for staff to upskill themselves. So there are a lot of tech training courses out there which are actually free by hyperscalers. But also importantly, showcasing AI projects to a broader audience. So holding, these sessions in the department to demo AI tech that's been developed, or what others are experimenting with. But also, again, similar to the hackathon that we ran with the with Microsoft and Cabinet Office, replicating that internally. So encouraging the workforce to get involved, experiment with tech to solve existing challenges within the department. However, it's important that this is done so in a, I think, responsible manner.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so much to talk about when it comes to this topic, and we really could talk for hours on this. So I wanted to kind of end the conversation on kind of what you're most excited about in this space, and how is PwC continuing to meet those kind of increasingly kind of bigger demands of the public sector when it comes to AI? Doug, I'll come to you first.
Oh, brilliant. So I think personally, I'm most excited about some of the really big cross-government data initiatives, such as the NHS Federated Data Platform. And I think, of course, I'm super excited by the actual work we're doing, helping the clients kind of achieve their journey on AI and kind of being part of it. So a really good example of this is Hillingdon Council. It's the first UK local authority to have deployed AI-powered voice automation and web chat as a solution at scale. Some people have trialed it, but not done it kind of in this way. It's a really big investment that they've made, but it's effectively handling the equivalent of 20 full-time employees, and the council saves £5 for every £1 they've spent on that product. So it's a really good return on investment. We think this is completely repeatable in other places. If you kind of really nail what the use case is, target your kind of outcomes, that you could really make the same difference in loads of customer service organisations across government. And I don't want to overlook kind of the importance of collaborations. Not just in government, but sort of the public, private sector across different industries. So learning from one sector and bringing it into government, or from one region and taking it to another. And I think we've got the Microsoft partnership that we've talked loads about. We're doing a lot with OpenAI and Harvey, and training kind of more models to sort of revolutionize services, whether that's tax, legal, and HR. And trying to bring them all together to sort of make these sort of sector agnostic, cutting edge models that we can really use. Trish, how about you? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about generative AI and the innovation and the potential opportunities that it brings to the public sector. Personally, I've had a play around with the tech, and it's just really impressive. We spoke about the hackathon that we hosted last year with the government departments. Gen AI is such a powerful technology, and with the right guardrails in place, I'm confident that it will really transform departments and provide better services to the public whilst safeguarding value.
Great, lots of exciting things to look forward to. Well, all that's left to say is yeah, thank you both for coming on the show, and really looking forward to hearing kind of what else PwC has got coming down the pipeline when it comes to this. But thank you both for coming on.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.